What's up, guys? It's Do Love 9 here, and today's Off One's Chest is concerning something a little personal with me regarding my FGC uh, tournament itch. You know, I wrote in my journal that something is calling me to come back to the FGC, and I don't know if I want to enact on it at all or right now or whatever, but I just had to get my thoughts out, and I did. And then once I did that, I decided to record them, and I'll explain why I have had this feeling of coming back, and mostly it's because of two videos that I've seen, but we'll go into that later. So, as you know, I've been away from the FGC for a bit, and there are moments where I am satisfied with not being a part of this, and then there are also moments where I question myself, why am I just pretending to hate this thing that I very much still love? I have love for fighting games, but the C in FGC is what drove a wedge between the first two letters. So like I mentioned, one of the things that inspired me to write this was a video I saw, and I watched James Chen video on community discourse, and the second video was another topic. I forget what he was talking about. I think he was talking about mentality or what it takes to become a top player by Rob TV. Two notable Street Fighter content creators. I don't follow either of their channels or social media accounts, but they showed up on my algorithm, and I believe I was meant to see these videos for a reason. You know, I'm a guy that retired, and I say this loosely because I felt a variety of negative emotions tied to the scenes I was competing in. And I didn't want to handle it anymore. But I also couldn't accept the fact that the games I loved competing in and the games I loved competing in, I had my version of success. I guess that's the way I could put it. And because of that success that I saw I had, things were changing. So my version of success was changing over the years. And or I should say, let me reiterate, the games that I was playing changed over the years, but my version of success stayed the same. That's a good way to put it. So not being able to adapt was something I just couldn't come to terms with, admitting it until now. So I couldn't admit that, like, I'm not capable of being good at multiple versions of a game. And one of those games, as you know, is Tekken 8. And so I'm writing this after watching the James Chen video, and he said a quote that stuck with me. He said, "The things that rewarded me in the game that I'm good at should reward me in this other game." So, in my context, the things that rewarded me in Tekken 7 should reward me in Tekken 8. And it didn't work like that. And to admit that I have that mentality is the reason I said what I said about Tekken 8 and even Smash Ultimate. This may be the turning point I needed to maybe start competing again. But then again, I just may not want to compete anymore. because I may feel like this, but also if I feel like I come back and the things about the game's mechanics will just rise up again, then there's no point. But I just feel like I need to get this out. So I don't know about competing again, but to have fun competing again, but also to try and restart the passion I had when I got into this in 2016. But again, it's a huge maybe. I don't know if I'll have fun. But my story goes as follows. For those who may not know, and may not know this portion of my journey, because it's not that well documented. I have a few videos here and there's some other Millersville stuff that there was recorded, but I'm a guy who played lots of party-centered, joyful-filled games. You know, I only possessed a PS2, a Wii, Game Boy Advance SP, and a Nintendo DSi, which I still have when I was growing up. Other times I played other consoles at different periods, such as like I played on a Nintendo SNES, the 64, GameCube, Xbox 360, various arcade cabinets, so on and so forth. But the main thing I wanted to focus on is my commitment to how gaming was my therapy. Without even knowing it, I was casually playing games that I would attach my personhood with, and it felt great. And I'm sure a lot of people can agree or feel that same way in some capacity. I don't know if they ever even realize it yet, but maybe if they watch this, they feel some sense of connection. I could go down the many memories I have concerning each game or console, but I would be here forever. Okay. I do want to talk about what it was like to discover the environment of multiple gamers in one room for the first time that played what you played. It started with Guitar Hero 3. I met someone who lived next door to me who had Guitar Hero 3 on the Xbox 360, and I was never an Xbox person. I played PlayStation only. And my brother and I only had Guitar Hero 2. I think we had one, but I know for sure we had Guitar Hero 2, but that was all we had. We loved it so much that we were like trying to perfect every song, which was impossible. But we loved it. We loved seeing the skill being witnessed by someone else and vice versa. I wanted to go to this dude's house every day. I forget his name, but I wanted to go to his house every day. A friendship was bonded over Guitar Hero 3, and a lot of people in the Guitar Hero community, I think, will agree that Guitar Hero 3 is the best Guitar Hero out of the series. But that was in 2009. Fast forward to my freshman year in college, 2015, 2016, and I hear that there's people who play Smash Brothers, a game I played with my brother and my sister from middle school through high school. And that was Brawl. Now, I'm on my own and I get those butterflies again, that I got with Guitar Hero. The excitement rushed through me, and that feeling of those people, or there are people just like me who play these games. Now, I was playing Brawl casually, Subspace Emissary, Classic mode, break the targets, home run contest, Cruel Smash, all that stuff. Coin Battle, which they don't have anymore. So I never knew about competitive esports anywhere at that time until I got to college. And when I got there, they were more advanced with knowledge than me. They possessed their own controllers, their own consoles, setups, and TVs that they would lug from their car every week in this little space we had in Smash Club. And they would do this to play with anyone at any given time. No matter if it was on that Friday, because our Smash local would be on Fridays. Um, it was a fraternity, kind of. It was a fraternity that had the new recruits wanting to be involved but didn't know how. On top of this, it was a totally different Smash Brothers game. So this is like I said, this is 2015, 2016, so Smash 4 is out. And this was a different game than I was used to, along with the rule set that I never played with. So I'm naturally shy. I'll never forget just having that one interaction with the club president at the time. And I'll never forget this, man. Hopefully, he's doing well, but his name was Bryce. He listened to my story like I'm telling now, but it wasn't so detailed at the moment. And he wanted to know me as well as I wanted to know about the competitive Smash scene. I knew nothing. So one day he invited me to his apartment and introduced me to competitive Smash. Told me all the rule sets, all this and that. I asked him all sorts of questions. He seemed like he knew everything there was to know, which is why I'll never forget him. And as I got accommodated to the lifestyle of a competitive smasher, a competitive player, I started with some challenges that exposed the real me that I didn't even know I had. Sometimes it was bad, sometimes it was good. Over time, and the next year, I had a peak. And some of this is on my YouTube channel. I kind of recorded. I started winning. I found my character and I found my mojo. I loved watching the game. I loved embracing it. Being with others who liked my style as the new kid. I didn't know what it took to become good without the help of another person named Justin. Justin was a top Sheik player in our school. And I continued and I wanted to get involved. So I started with commentary. And that became my obsession in 2017, 2018, along with being a player. So Justin as well is involved in this too. Now, I was the knowledgeable one. I felt like I was Bryce for someone else if the chance came to it. As times changed, my lack of awareness only increased, leaving me to experience really horrible treatment from a community I thought I was supposed to call family, in a sense. I know that's a little extreme, but for me, in a sense, that's kind of what they were. So around that time, I felt like I could translate that into another game that my roommate at the time helped me find joy in, and that was Tekken 7. So with this time, I was hopeful to think that lightning could strike twice, and I was blessed that it did. I was working at a job, I forget where. No, I was working as a summer conference assistant for my college, where I was able to buy a PS4 and get a copy of Tekken 7 so we could play only together, because this was in the summer, so he already had one, I just needed one so we could play online. Right? And that was the genesis of my time with it. It eventually turned into playing ranked and just messing around then, learning more combos, watching videos, learning tech, increasing my knowledge about the game, and with no FGC scene around Lancaster at all I had was online to play, and suddenly I was in the same position I was with the Smash, Millersville Smash all over again, and I loved it. My motivation to keep playing was even more palpable. Tekken 7 was putting me through so many emotions, despite what they were, anger, sadness, happiness, anxiety, relief, etc. Because I really wanted to be good at this game. It felt natural to me. It was my first competitive Tekken, because I played Tekken 5. I never played Tag 2 and Tag 6, or Tag 2 and Tekken 6. So the amount of information that was out there with so many cool characters, it was easy to understand, different play styles. It was literally my life. I should have been concentrating more on school and stuff, but maybe, hindsight is 2020. But this was it for me. Maybe not to the level of being a top player, but that's why I was so emotional towards losing and winning sometimes. I thought I could be as nice as the people I saw watching. I thought I could be as nice as the people I saw watching those videos. Um, but that's the backstory. Due to unforeseen circumstances over the next 5 to 7 years, players in both communities would treat me in ways that would make me distance myself from the two respective scenes. Tekken, more specifically, added to my departure for the fact that it was my only focus when Season 4 of Tekken 7 and then Tekken 8 came out. I hated the new mechanics and game changes that they made, especially heat and chip damage. I was not a fan of that, and I know a lot of people agreed with me on that. So I was not like salty or anything, because we all saw the videos of the reviews on Steam and things like that. It was goofy. They got rid of one of my favorite characters, Katarina. I'm sure I'm not the first person this has happened to, but all these characters that keep coming back as DLC, but it's whatever. There was no replacing her with another female copycat. I didn't want to use Azucena. I expected Noctis to be gone, so that wasn't too bad. Hwarang was still cool, but just now being a solo main with new things was a hill to climb at first. I just didn't get it, I just didn't get it. Everything that made Tekken 7 fun and immersive was gone in Tekken 8, in my perspective. It felt like they purposely, I mean Bandai Namco, it felt like Bandai Namco purposely moved backwards to make more money. Paying for a story mode DLC, paying for characters that were DLC in Tekken 7 again, longer combo routes, Asuka having a chargeable rage art. Like, why? They even destroyed the sacred meaning of the rank system by making it easier to attain the higher stats and making less ranks. They just increased it with that bullshit, God of Destruction 1, 2, and whatever, but that's ridiculous. I was torn, man. Dropping the game because it severely disappointed my views of what a great Tekken experience was. Or do I keep playing it because it's all I have left to do? The struggle would go on until I could go on no longer. I hated losing to dumb characters. And having the community pretend that they are not as strong as I'm being shown that they are. Like Lily, Lars, all those people. So this past year in August, I said I wanted to retire from all competition in esports. And I went out with a bang, making the standard bearer of all FGC tournaments EVO, which was going to be my last official tournament. For not playing the game after Season 1 ended, and I don't remember when that was, I was comfortable with my placing and concentrated on having a great time in Las Vegas, as well as supporting who we call the Tokido Killer, or the Tokido Slayer, which one it was. I had other responsibilities I was foolishly ignoring and felt that part of my life was closed and needed to be an adult. Finally, only I knew why I truly retired, and up until now, my reasoning for retirement was a lie. So I could feel like I made an impact for my little region in Pennsylvania. That real reason was greatly articulated through Rob TV's video. I stuck to my guns since August by not participating and haven't participated since. I still play and stream these games for sure, but I'm not signing up for a bracket. At the time of this journal entry, it's October, and I came across Rob TV's video talking about why people aren't where they are in fighting games. I led myself to believe that this game is horrible. Not me, the player, but I wanted Tekken 7. I was happier playing Tekken 7. I was more confident that I could win more in Tekken 7. Tekken 8 was a high expectation that couldn't fulfill those shoes. But what I learned in his video was that I didn't want it hard enough to work harder and become better. My mindset was very stubborn and stuck on the version of the past. And he broke it down from saying that the results I experience from Tekken aren't happening because I think I want to be one thing but not consumed enough to put it into practice. It's a very, very powerful stuff. The conversation with the camera made me think about my own journey and what I wanted people to see me as. I wanted people to think this community would be crushed without me. It was an egotistical, narcissistic, and a lazy viewpoint. I didn't play or know how to train for me. I played or simplified my training for the people that don't even care about me. I say all that to say, these videos changed my perspective about my approach to fighting game discourse. Even though, like I said, maybe I'll go into detail about this story, but I was left in downtown Lancaster by friends that were so-called friends in the Smash community that left me out to dry in the middle of the night, all the way from, I believe, 11:30 to 6 a.m. when the bus came. I had to sleep in an elevator. I will never forgive them for doing that. That would never make me want to come back. So I think I had that burden, I had that weight carried on me that made me not want to support or find something else to be good at. But the internet isn't real. And too much negative consumption of real-time division about nonsensical arguments makes it worse. And without these two, James Chin and Rob TV, let me think, it wouldn't have been possible. So, am I saying I want to rededicate my life to becoming a top player? Absolutely not. I will never make that my priority, nor will I ever allow my human makeup risk the mental health and sacrifice the functionality of my civilization to try and attain and reach that far. It simply isn't worth it. But something was and has always been telling me in the inside that I don't want to leave. That's why I stream these games every day. I don't know what it is, but I know I don't and can't give up playing these games, despite what even happened to me in that elevator. If I didn't care or hated it so much, it would have been easy for me to delete it and walk away. No streams and such. but I can't. So what does this mean? Should I come back? Should I work harder at loving and training in these games? Do I need these games to keep me at peace? I don't have the answers to my own questions because I'm afraid of things not changing, but I do know that rhetoric on the meta and the state of the games are now redacted partially for looking at this newfound perspective that makes me look deep inside and wonder, why do I keep comparing game A versus game B? Why is it important for me to just, make fun of the most recent game? There's others that I could list, but in conclusion, everybody wants to be noticed for something, even outside gaming. But the roots of being notable is being adaptable and coachable, no matter what the goal is. So, I guess that was my little speech and how I pulled that from 2 videos, but I'm glad I expressed it out. So, we'll see what happens in the future. Thank you.